I've done very minimal double checking to make sure the editing will work out right, so here we go. Just water today. I got work in a couple of hours, so no drinking on the job for me. I'm sorry. So, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk some basic NSFL stuff. I'm going to sneak my Ultimus stuff in here so that I don't have to write 800 words, or I guess 600 words with affiliation to PBE. Say a few things for the newbies. Other than that, check out the Golden Knights shirt. Thank you. Always important. Gonna mix up your sports and get your real life affiliations in there. We'll see what the fuck happens. So, for those of you who don't know, my name is Adam S. I am currently the running back known as Dick Wizardry. Ya boy, Dick Wizardry. That's basically what he sounds like in my head, by the way. So every time you read a tweet or a statement, that voice, ya boy, ya boy. That I told people I would probably do an impersonation at some point. So there you go. That's probably as much as you're getting for the moment, but fuck it, we'll see. So I was introducing myself, and whoosh, off the rails. That's what happens whenever I talk, or mostly write. Just lean into the chaos all the time. So in addition to being Dick Wizardry, I'm also currently the co-GM of the Yellowknife Wraiths. Thank you, Davey, for giving me the job. I appreciate not having to do mock drafts. Former most things in the league at some point or another. Yeah. Now, I know not all of that means a ton to the 748 new players that we have this season, and welcome to the league, by the way. I hope you guys are consuming every piece of podcast and media and video you can find to kind of figure out what the fuck it is we do, because it's a pretty fun hobby, I feel like. And there's a lot that goes into it, and a lot of history, and this person has done this thing, and this person's done that thing, and this team has done this thing. These two people were when they were on a team, and now they're rivals. And just, there's a whole lot of shit that's been going on for the last year and what, 8 months or so? I don't even remember. When was it, June or July? I think it started of 2017. I didn't start until September 1st of 2017, so I missed some of the initial stuff. So the first like 2 seasons were right at the end when I came in. In fact, it was Ultimus week of season 2 when I came in. So I can say I've been in the shoes of the people coming in now. Been there. Been in your shoes. I probably stretched your shoes out. I have big feet. Like, I'm only 5'8", but I wear size 12s. I have huge feet. Same thing with the hands. People occasionally see me make fun of my hands. My hands are like, I have the same size hands as like 6'3" people, but I'm 5'8". My wife doesn't mind. Those of you who don't know, I never shut up about my wife or my daughter. Been married 11 years as of next week. Next week. My daughter's 5. If you haven't heard these things, you will. Oh! One thing today, they woke me up before they left because there was some medical stuff. So Sam, my daughter, those of you who don't know, she's all super excited because she's got to go pee in a cup so they can take it away for analysis. And she's like, I get to pee on a cup, Daddy! Definitely my kid. While my wife just laughs the whole thing, of course. Obviously, none of that particularly pertained to NSFL football, but I can spin it. Give me a second. Okay, so one of the good things about the league is that we have this wide range of ages. We've got people as young as 14, 15 who've been in the league. We've got people who are in their late 30s. There's one who's not in the league anymore who's in his 40s, but so you have this wide range of ages and experience and life. You know, we've got everything from high school students to lawyers and therapists and artists and musicians, and we run the gamut of At least 4 countries that I can think of. Poland, Austria. That's like 6 countries, and I'm probably missing some people. 7 countries, because the Australians, they are real. I promise. I don't know where this Australia is a myth thing came from. What a weird thing to catch on. It just doesn't exist, and everybody's in on it. Wait a minute. Sounds like flat Earth. I wonder if it's the same people. Someone should look into that. Are the Australia's a myth people and the flat Earth people like the same? Like, is there a lot of crossover in the two groups? That is definitely not NSFL related. But backing up my Australians, I guess. As much as I can say. There's a New Zealander too, actually. It's 8 countries. Yeah. We span multiple time zones across the globe. That's the corporate-y way of saying it. We're a globe. No, that's not how you would say that. Yes, this is normal when I record anything. I just off the top of my head and random shit happens, but without mistypes. I'm quite well known for my typos. For those of you who don't know, I am. I've never had it tested, but I have a kind of dyslexia. I know I do. It's a thing that happens in my brain where sometimes when you're talking to me, even you'll hear me switch words and do them backwards, and couldn't always focus in school. I hit a lot of the benchmarks that I heard out for it. So I'm pretty sure, as someone who watched every season of House, checked WebMD, it says I have cancer. Yeah. But no, I'm pretty sure if I actually had somebody look into it, I'd have some name I couldn't pronounce. And they'd be like, "Do you want to be on these drugs for it?" And I would be like, "No, it's a very, very minor inconvenience in my life. I'm cool." No, I'm not drunk. I am hungry though. I had a banana before this. I wanted to prepare for you guys to be the most professional I could possibly be. And people who listen to my podcast will tell you that this is the most professional I can possibly be. So let's jump to the Ultimus. Let's do the Ultimus stuff. Supposedly we're gonna do 4. I think the rule says I have to spend 5 minutes on each one. I know it's written in here somewhere. So written podcast option. There we go. Written podcast option. Why is that in the same option? I don't understand now. Only 2 affiliated. How come I can't do PPE task? What the hell? Graphic podcast. Talk for 5 minutes about improvements that your team has made. Okay, there we go. The podcast options are within each one. Yeah, you can tell I prepared a lot. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, super prepared. That'd be a weird superpower, wouldn't it? Oh my god, we're not prepared for this at all. Someone call super prepared. Um. All right, I'm gonna go straight with number 1. It is our time this next year. So this one is basically about improvements your team needs to make for the next season, whether it's a continuing success or building up. Well, Yellowknife, we are definitely a team that is building up, and funny part about this is the draft has happened in private. For those of you who don't know, the newer folks, what we do, we do a broadcast of our draft, both drafts, the way you see broadcasts of sim games, and the GMs and HO behind the scenes, we start drafting ahead of time. So that way it's done early, like it's done now, and that allows the people doing the draft. I'm gonna make you look at my hands gesturing. Hang on. That allows the people doing the draft. Yes, I'm just moving the computer around because that's the level of caveman technology I possess. Well, caveman technology expertise. We do the draft early, so the draft is complete, and the people who do the draft show can like just run through it without having to wait or pause or any of that nonsense. So, with this particular thing, improvements your team needs to make, I can't actually talk about a lot of them because some of them are draft based. What I can talk about is we made a trade with Arizona for Alex Selleck, great linebacker, run by Toman, the handler, great handler. I've been with him in a couple of leagues now. Good guy, good to have in a locker room. That's the kind of he's definitely the kind of person you want on your team, not just because he's active and involved on the player side, but because people enjoy talking to them in the locker room. And locker rooms are a big part of this whole thing. Because if you're bored by sim stats, and most of us are going to be at some point, there's people out there who love that shit, and good on you. But if you're bored by sim stats, you're going to stick in the league because of the people you enjoy talking to throughout the day. Because, I mean, throughout the day is a pretty good way to put it. Now, most of us have fucking Discord on our phones now. So we're checking in like, oh, I'm on lunch break, or I'm on fucking in transit somewhere else, and I'm not driving, hopefully. Please don't check Discord while you're driving. Don't do that. Don't dis and drive. Don't dis and drive. Don't Discord and drive. Just don't fuck with your phone while you're driving. It's super dangerous. Don't be an idiot. PSAs. But no, Tillman's a really good dude. Alex Selleck is a really good linebacker. Young and good. Those are two things that are super important. On top of that, we got a lot of improvements in the team that already existed. We got, let's see, my player, our lead running back, just crossed. I'm going to cross 600 TPE with this particular update, which is great. We've got wide receivers coming up from the NSFL who are going to be really good. We've got our hand in some other things that we're trying to do. Sorry, I'm itching my leg. I'm not like trying to. Let's get intimate right now. How you doing? Gonna talk about the improvements in my team. We're feeling good. Yeah. And like still itches actually. All of that was for nothing. Why? Okay. It's still like mid-March. So there's like a phlegmy situation here now. You know that phlegm that just like I'm just gonna sit here and hang out for a couple months. That shit. I'm super susceptible to bronchial issues every winter too. So it's just. Thanks, Mom, for smoking while you were pregnant. Good job. I'm not gonna go into that topic. Anyway, so we got a lot of guys coming up from the NSFL. We've got Big Red, who's had Nate Swift down there kicking ass. We've got Newt Nuderson, Ason. They're both coming up. It's gonna be good. So we're improving our offense. Our defense is being improved. Our special teams were decent last year. Primarily, got a decent kicker. He's getting to the end of the run time. I'm not gonna go into that in detail because between this draft and next draft, there's a bunch of kickers. So we're probably picking up one in one of those two drafts. I can't tell you which one because that would tell you if we did or did not this time. So there's a lot of dancing around that. You don't know who we picked. Because mock drafts are still open. By the way, since I'm on the topic, you have not done mock drafts, go do them. It's easy points. Easy. Just go copy somebody who you've seen around. You're like, oh, that guy's super experienced. That girl's super experienced. Copy them and just take the points. Same thing with fantasy. Sign up for fantasy. Even if you don't know a single player's name, other people do. They can help you, and they will help you. And you could always, if nothing else, just if there's 15 fantasy leagues running, you can go see what the experienced people are picking. That's also an option to have. And these are things that they pay out. It all adds up. But to get back to it, we're probably picking a kicker either this year or next year. Year in sim terms, not year in real terms. Year in sim terms is like 8 weeks. 7 or 8 weeks. Somewhere around there. So this season or next season, we're going to pick up a kicker. But in the meantime, forfeit is still hanging around. He's still good for kickers. That's its own topic. And return-wise, punt return, kick return. Last year we were okay. We had a young me doing it, and we had an old Dermot doing it, which Dermot Lavelle, Dick Wizardry. Dermot Lavelle is actually the all-time leader in kick return yards, so that was great. But he's way down into regression. He was so far into regression that he got auto retired. Like, he fought regression harder than anybody ever has, and probably will. So it wasn't. So we were good, but not great. Whereas this year, I can step up and be higher than either of us were last year. And we can bring somebody else in who was higher than the second person, and so that should actually also improve. So we've made a lot of improvements. We still have a quarterback in Brian Appleslut, Ryan Applesauce, Ryan Applecart, Ryan. I've been saying his name wrong his whole career. And at this point, Ryan Appletart just has to accept it. Just accept it. I know they say don't upset the apple cart, which hopefully some of you remember as a phrase, but I'm going to do it. That's right. Other than that, I mean, there's only so much you can improve your team from outside. Most team improvement is going to have to come from inside. It's going to have to be people consistently updating, the GMs consistently making good strategic decisions, getting those contracts redone. Like we did this offseason. We re-signed our young tight end, Adrian Pitcher. Got him a little more for a little more time. I bet he's online. We're doing what a team can do to improve. You can't free agent drafts, free agent periods aren't these huge boons of activity. This is actually one of the more active that we've ever had. So you can't just go in and expect I'm gonna pluck out 5 big names and it's gonna turn the tide of my franchise. That's not how it works ever. I'm sure it will happen for somebody at some point. Odds say everything happens. But it's not how you build your team. It's not how you improve your team. You got to improve your team from within. Make smart trades, like trading for selling, and not trading away 2 first-round draft picks because somebody's going to say it in the comments if I don't mention it. Yes, it happened once. I learned from it. Fuck you. Thank you. Go on. It's it's what you do. I'm messaging on Discord right now just to say hi. Everybody say hi for the podcast. Heart face, smiley face. I like that. We'll see who actually responds. But those are the ways you can improve team, and I believe the Yellowknife has done that. I think I don't want to say I'm an improvement on Dermot, the co-GM, because somebody's probably going to ask that, but we'll see. There's a lot of people who have opinions on that. You like how, like I said, nothing right there? A lot of people have opinions on this subject. Moving on. Spotlight the youth. So for a podcast, I got to talk 5 minutes and do a preview review of one of the conference. I don't think he realized. Oh, I went down one. Season 10 or new player and highlight how they will affect this year's Ultimus playoffs. I think this would be where I go into full Dick Wizardry for 5 minutes. I'm not going to do that because Dick Wizardry is a tiring character to play. because he's just so high energy. But Dick, might as well fucking do my own character. And this is something for you. I'm checking the camera so I can spot where I'm putting my hands. I talk with my hands, by the way, a fucking lot. I was raised in South Jersey by Italians, so if you don't know what that means, it's fine. Married an Italian too. So if you're ever wanting to do podcasts or media or whatever, or there's a prompt like this that says talk about blah 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 player, and your player fits the bill, and you're like, I don't know if I want to talk about my player, it seems egotistical. No, fuck that. We're all here to play these fucking characters and have fun with them. Yes, do that shit. Be your character. Write from their perspective. Talk about how great they are. Do that shit. Everyone loves it. It's a big part of the game. It's sort of like when somebody said, should we be... I just got a text that totally threw off my train of thought. Be your character. What the fuck was I saying? Look, just be your character. I'm gonna remember that shit randomly later. Like, oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But my wife don't text me because she loves me, but she wants to know if I got this message on Facebook. I did not. I'm busy doing this. Thanks a lot, Obama. Fuck. But no, yeah, dude. Spotlight. If it says spotlight on the youth and your character fits it, write that shit about your character. Say that shit about your character. Have fun with it. Even if it's like talking shit and hyperbole, and that's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. Go for it. As part of the fun is talking smack and then having it bite you in the ass. That's what I was gonna say. Okay, now I can. My brain gets there. It just goes in some sometimes. So yes, season 10 or newer, Mr. Dick Susan Wizardry. Yes, his middle name is Susan because I thought it was fun. Jesus. They've been waiting at the diagnostic place for an hour and a half. That's a lot, by the way. It's a place where you go in and you're out in like 10 minutes. I don't understand why they're waiting that long. So, with Dick, we're hitting a pretty good spot. Like I said, I'm going over 600 TPE. And for those of you who are newer, we tend to use shorthand in terms of where people are in TPE numbers. It doesn't always equate to a great build, or that someone's done things correctly, or that this person's going to be amazing, but it's a good shorthand, basically. And so hitting 600 TPE means, in most cases, and especially running backs, I'm starting to hit the elite echelons of the various skill categories. And for a running back, you need a lot of them. You need, speed, obviously. You need endurance for longer runs, and runs after the catch. You need hands, in my case, because I wanted a triple threat kind of running back. So he's good in the pass game as well. You need to hit that agility. Agility in the sim is, avoiding tackles, and strength in the sim helps you break tackles. Intelligence for making smarter decisions when they're running, and also not having as many penalties. So I'm starting to hit really good levels on everything. And it takes a bit to get there. So when somebody says, oh, he's hitting 600 TP, okay, this player's really about to hit a really big stride. So for Dick, they were going to go to the park afterwards, but because they waited so long, they can't go to the park, which sucks. That sucks a lot. It makes me unhappy. I'm just going to continue to have conversations with my wife while I'm recording. That's what I do. So how will this affect the Ultimus playoffs? Having a strong runner who can also catch passes is also going to be a part of the return game. Again, I had the most punt return yards last year. So having that boosted better than it was last year is going to be a big part of the offense for us. So we've got a lot of young receivers as well, and we got a veteran quarterback. So having that locked down, having that part of it locked down is going to be huge. It could be the difference between going 3 and out from 9 yards or scoring a touchdown. It's just that simple. And the more you have to be able to be successful in those small spaces, those little moments of 3rd and 3 becomes a first down, or 3rd and 3 becomes a punt, or 4th and 3. You know what I mean? Those are huge. A player like Dick, he's got the stroke to really, get right down the middle and make that sort of thing happen. And it makes the fans very excited. Whenever Dick goes down the middle, the fans get excited. It happens. Someone was waiting. I know someone was out there like, come on with the Dick jokes. Come on with the Dick jokes. Now you have Dick jokes. Looks like I'm taking my daughter to the park on Friday. So, I have no idea if that was 5 minutes. It was probably 5 minutes, somewhere in there. I feel bad for the person who has to go through it and edit this. Not edit, obviously, but count all the stuff. How much of this counts? How much of this counts? Because I, to a degree, I'm at least trying to take into consideration that we have over 429 new people who are still kind of unsure about what is what. So I'm hoping to say, hey, you can do this, you can go down this path, and this is what this means, and why people are excited about it, why people care about 600 TPE or whatever it happens to be. Sorry for your ears. I hope I should have done this, but on this side. This is what I get for looking at the camera instead of remembering where the damn thing is. So yeah, season 10 new player Dick Wizardry, running back, about to have his 3rd 1,000-yard season in a row. Going to step up in the passing game. Going to be a big boon to the offense, which should make my GMs very happy, of which I am one. Very self-serving. All right. I'm not going to really do a review of the Ultimus games. They happened. Quarterback matchup. Nah. Enemies happen. What does enemies happen? Call that player out. Talk for 5 minutes about that player, why they will struggle, or how they were the reason their team lost. Not the user, the player. Well, fuck you then. What if I want to talk shit about the reason a team lost and it's, the user? What if I want to just talk shit about Dwyer? Fuck you. I'll talk shit about Dwyer if I want. You know how much TP I've made in SBA talking shit about Dwyer? Because he knows. No, I'm not really making fun of the talk about the player, nothing you should think, for the record. It's a really good. It shouldn't have to be said, but that's what you do. You don't shit on the user. You shit on the player. You try to keep it in character for that. I don't want to don't be a dick. I was struggling for some other way to say don't be a dick, but don't be a dick. So it's a good rule. Who the hell could I call out? Alright. Hang on. Let's find out. I'm gonna call somebody out. Love that idea. Who sucked in the playoffs? I know who I want to call out, but because he annoys the shit out of me, it feels like it would be too close to calling out the handler instead of the player. I shit on the Yeti a lot, so let's call out somebody on the Liberty, which I was just saying I was trying to put. Can't call him out anyway. He did great that game. 5 interceptions. Adriana Falcone. 5 interceptions. 20 of 37. 248 yards. 2 TDs, 5 interceptions. McCormick had 2 interceptions too. The reason the team lost. It's pretty hard to say anybody else but her is the reason our team lost. You know, if this was real life, I think this is the. Okay, I found my path here. If this was real life, Adriana Falcone would be getting nothing but shit for being a female quarterback. It's true. The first female quarterback, and what I mean by that is the first character that's a female quarterback, not the first handler. I didn't specify that the last time I said it. And a previous handler, Evok, who played a male quarterback, was like, hey, because technically she was the first handler to have a quarterback. We all on board now? Okay, good. Adriana Falcone is the first openly female quarterback. Did I just say openly female? You know that's how they'd fucking announce it, too. Like, that's where my brain went. Like, they would be like, she's openly female. If that confuses you, see the women for how that kind of shit happens to them. Like, don't actually do. Like, maybe do that if you're really confused. But, like, that shit happens to them all the fucking time. So, you know, just flagrantly walking around being a female quarterback in our league. What the fuck? So after a performance like this, and after a few years coming up, she would definitely be hitting that sort of criticism. The Stephen B. Smifters of the world be like, well, can a female quarterback really survive in the NSFL? I've had my doubts. I have. You've heard them. You've seen them. And she's had moments of greatness, but she's also had a lot more moments of not so greatness. And this game was another one. The pressure was high. The team was the biggest it had been in several years. They've been trusting the process to get to this point. Yes, that is Stephen B. Spencer's voice, by the way. In my head. And she let them down. The process didn't work. I'm not saying it's because she's a woman. But would a male quarterback have failed there? Yes, I realize, like, I'm overly mocking the stupidity of a character I created, so it's a total straw man thing, I get it, but the character is meant to make fun of those sort of people anyway. So, for those, again, newbies who don't know, Stephen B. Smifter is a character I created way back when I started, like season 3 or season 4. And he is like a rumor monger, hot take expert sort of thing. I know all the inside dirt, I have all the great opinions. His name is literally a combination of like Adam Schefter and Stephen A. Smith. Except I put the B in there for funsies. I've had him as an interviewer, I've had him as a hot take guy. People are often like, do him more, but like honestly, if I do him too much, I get fucking annoyed. I hate this motherfucker. He's so awful. But that's the design of the character, so it's my own fault. So I can't like, I'm not gonna soften him up and be less true to the character just so I'm less annoyed. I'm like, no, this is the character. So really, what happens is I just bring him out every so often, and he would definitely be one of those who would be like losing his mind over Adriana Falcone sucking in the conference championships. Threw 5 interceptions. She had one of the worst ratings the quarterback has ever had in a conference championship game. Is it time for Philly to think about trusting a different process? Because I don't think this one's working. And it would be coincidentally, oh, we gave her less time to get it than others. I think sometimes the sim is just like that. Yeah, you can easily point to her as the reason the team lost. That happens to fucking everybody. Just look at Gus Showbiz over and over again. Even they can't figure out why that's happening, but sometimes that just happens to quarterbacks in this league. It's a thing. Did you suck and make your team leave? Leave. Lose? Yes. Yes, you did. I think I made a joke already about that in one of my articles who can't have their proper name anymore. There's really nobody else to talk shit about. Like, honestly, it was just the Yeti beat the shit out of Liberty. They just did. I know we're supposed to talk shit about one person,
And I don't even know if I've hit my 5 minutes, whatever. If I haven't, so be it. But, like, it wasn't even a terrible... Especially not with the defense that fucking Colorado has for this year. That's nuts. Oaks, Mills, Lejeune, Hornbacker, Ishikawa's old ass. I remember when he was young. Now he's old. Yeah. That pretty much covers that. There's a time for a... You sound like Richard Nixon. I might want a different voice for Snifter. Like something more nasally. Is the league ready for a woman quarterback? That sounds more like Snifter. I'm not against the females playing sports, but her performance really speaks for itself. 5 interceptions and only 2 touchdowns in garbage time. That's not the process they signed up for. Maybe it's time for Philadelphia to start looking at some of these awesome quarterbacks coming out of the next couple of drafts. The fuck was sneaking in? There's like a weird thing sneaking into the end of that voice-wise. Man, I'll work on it. Maybe I will do a Smifter thing out loud at some point. That's not a promise. That's not a promise. That's a maybe. Don't fucking hold me to that promise. Are all his podcasts like this? Yes. So that's 3. Magic moment. There's an unsung hero. Who's an unsung hero? I'm not going to interview anybody. Fuck that. That's not happening. Sorry. Unsung hero in the Ultimus. I do this a lot, actually. I always like this one because you just pick out something that nobody's talking about. Like I think I've done the kicker a couple of times. Well, it sure isn't Gus Jobins. It's Sunny Cursed I did once. There really isn't an unsung hero here. I do have 3 though, and I have a PBA affiliation, so I can just say fuck it. That's what I could do. I can do this incredibly disjointed podcast as I do, and then yeah, cool. I'm done. The Ultimus. 10 points, bitches. Also, yeah, do the Ultimus. 10 points. It's a lot of work because you're either writing like 4 200-word topics or borrowing affiliation. You're trying to put 5 minutes of thought together, which, as you can tell, is difficult for some people. Ugh, I might have to go back to the thing, the diagnostic place on Friday with her. Because apparently it closes an hour, and they've been sitting there for an hour and a half. That's kind of bullshit. Like, I've been to that place. Like, there's like 6 waiting chairs. There's never a huge line. There's no reason for them to be waiting. It's not like they're ever even busy. But, you know, shit happens. When your child is 5 and you get shots and medical stuff, and keep going because she's starting school in 6 months. You know, that's what's going. Toman wants to know if there's any good mock drafts he can copy. Davey says he can't tell you. Davey is the GM of the Wraiths, and makes that good point. That same thing I was trying to stress earlier. We can't tell you, go to this person's mock draft, because that influences the idea that they're right. Which, you know, it's not a perfect system, but it's better than it's all built so that when the actual draft production happens, it's smooth, crisp, really good, and that's the ultimate goal there. I would much rather have these weird like inconveniences and inconsistencies to go towards the final product. Copy. The guys recreating are the best mock. The guys recreating are the best mock drafts copy, is something Davey said. That's my boss. Since they're not in war rooms, but generally know a lot. There you go. And then he posted a picture of carrot with broccoli. Oh. Okay, never mind. Everybody say hi from the podcast. Toman says hi ho. Newt says hello. Davey says hi. Some Yellowknife rates in there. So to let them know, this thing is way off the rails. It is way off the rails. Trumpet, trumpet, trumpet. Doot, doot. Other than that, it's going to be an interesting season. Baltimore did a lot in free agency. Colorado is retaining some people. We know what's going on with their future now with Drop Bear retiring Howard Miller and recreating the quarterback. We have to see what teams do in the draft. I was about to give away information, but caught myself. I've done that before by accident. People giving up information that happens in the draft occasionally happens, sometimes by accident, sometimes by people trying to steal TPE, essentially. You know, oh, I know X person's going here and X person's going here. So I'll give you that information and then our team improves. People have done that before. Yes, they've been caught. Yes. Mine was by accident and whatever. It was in the DSFL, even not the NSFL. It was a DSFL draft. I had the number 1 pick. Number 2 pick. 1 pick or number 2 pick? And I just told the person I was drafting them ahead of time. So I self-reported. Shit happens. Yes, I was drunk at the time, which also happens. People will overstate the amount of times I'm drunk, but basically every time I'm drunk, I am going to be on Discord. You're going to know about it, so I get it. We have to see what all these teams do. Yellowknife is the first pick in the draft. I know who we picked. I'm extremely happy with who we picked. I don't feel like that's a spoiler at all, because if you're not extremely happy with who you picked, with the number 1 pick, you have done fucked up. That should never be an issue. Plus, I could be lying and maybe we traded it. You don't fucking know. You don't fucking know. So I'm just going by what I'm reading here in the draft order. And trying to remember if anything happened during the first round. Maybe it didn't. Maybe this is all a smokescreen, where I'm using what I already know is a very scatterbrain style to make you think, wait a minute, is he suggesting, is he trying to not tell me the draft happened in the first round? The trade happened in the first round? He might be. He might be an evil genius. Who's that person? Well, either way, it's going to be very interesting, and I am excited to see what happens this season. We got a lot of talent all over the league. We got a lot of DSFL talent coming in. We've got so many new people. Like I keep harping back on that, but you know, whatever. I mean, I'm seeing so many articles just about the rookie showcase games. You guys are going nuts for those, which is great because it's a good way for us to get to see what each player is doing, and for you to kind of see how your player is going to look in the sim going forward. That's always awesome. We got werewolf game sign up. Could be coming up soon. That's in the off-topic section. If you've never played werewolf, there'll be an explanation for it there. But it's always good. We do those pretty regularly. So you know, if you don't get into this one, which I think is already pretty big, 20+ people, just sign up and we'll get you to the Discord and we'll do more later. There you go, numbers. I'm recruiting for the werewolf game. Got your back, buddy. Where was it? I was gonna look for the the rookie point task. 59 responses. Okay, see, that's not bad. I have to assume a couple of them are probably not straight up responses, but dude, that's a lot of rookies. It's a lot of rookies. So yeah. On top of we prior to this, we had a regular user base, which at any given point was somewhere between 95 and 120 people. So if you add I don't remember the actual amount of people who signed up this off season, but you start adding 40, 50 or more to that base, things become very interesting and very huge. So this DSFL season is going to be very intriguing to watch what happens, not just as a GM who's going to be scouting, but also as someone who has been here for the entire history of the DSFL. In fact, when I first made my first player, in September of 2017, Charlie Law, tight end turned wide receiver, number 6 all time on the reception list, number 5 all time on the touchdown list, least drops of anybody in the top 15 for catches, not in the Hall of Fame, and probably not getting there. The DSFL was being built, so they didn't have a draft yet. The first draft came after me, so I kind of got to watch from the bare bones all the way up. And I GM'd for a season in the DSFL. And with numbers, who I just mentioned, where I picked Swagslaw, who is now the GM of the Arizona Outlaws. Like I didn't do that on purpose, but it kind of came around. And that kind of goes into the point I made way back at the beginning of this bullshit. I recognize that it's bullshit. Whereas the teams, people have interconnected and gone away and interconnected and gone away. That happens a lot. It's actually one of the better aspects of the league because you get to know a lot of people a little bit. You get to play with and play against people. So a lot of times the people you roll with on your teams is one kind of fun, and the people you have rivalries with is another kind of fun. So fun. We're going to have a really active DSFL season. It's going to be very interesting to see who comes up and all the different stories and how that is going to affect the NSFL going forward. Expansion might be a thing. We don't know. I've heard, this is what people do when they talk. It's very weird. I don't know why you do that with your hammer and talk. But I've heard little, whispers that might, depending on numbers and how things work out. Not numbers in general, not numbers the person. It might be a thing. We'll see. I think that would be very interesting. In the meantime, we're going to see how this gigantic class of rookies does in the DSFL. We're going to see how the NSFL season goes forward. We're going to see a lot of new GMs. We've got new GMs in multiple teams. And I know another one is looking. That pauses me going, wait, I can't remember if that's public yet, but I know a specific GM is looking to be replaced. So expect that to happen soon. I was already halfway there, guys. Sorry. But yeah, Arizona's got new GMs. I just got added to a co-GM spot. I think we're looking for co-GMs in a couple of places as well. But you get like a lot of fresh management turnover, which makes things more interesting because people don't always do the same thing. Let's do things the same way that their predecessors did. That can sometimes lead to different discussions in terms of rules and things like that, because for those of you who don't know, our rules for the most part are made with a combination of GMs and head office members. Group proposals, group votes, that's usually how it works. Sometimes people make rules about titles and media that have never been voted on or announced or passed in any way, shape, or form, as far as I know. And they just let you know in the DM you can't put cuss words in media titles anymore. Sometimes that happens too, Lollipops happen. I don't know what else I can drag out of my brain right now because I need to go get some fucking food. But I do want to state an incredibly sincere apology because I'm going to use this as both my Ultimus and as a media piece. Somebody is going to have to listen to this fucking thing and figure out how many minutes count towards the media piece and how many count towards the Ultimus. And whoever you are, I sincerely apologize. If you want to message me and be like, motherfucker, I'm the person who had to do that, you son of a fucking bitch. Here's how many times you said, and you need me to, like, I don't know, do funny, goofy shit to somebody else to make you feel a little bit better. You feel like you've been paid a little bit more for the service that you're performing. Maybe I'll do that. And like 7 people, that's kind of my own fault, isn't it? But no, that's pretty much it for now. Go Golden Knights. We have a game tonight. Or tomorrow night? We have a game tonight, I think. So, gonna throw that in there again. VGK, baby. For those of you who don't know, gotta get that good logo, that sweet logo in there. For those of you who don't know, by the way, I live in Vegas, so I'm a huge Golden Knights fan. We're going back to the introduce Adam thing. At the beginning and the end. That kind of fits, kind of like bookends. I'm married, I have a daughter, she's excited to pee on a cup, which hopefully they fucking let her do. Apparently the place is busy, by the way, so I might have to go back on Friday to do that. Live in Vegas, love the Golden Knights. I'm actually a Browns fan. I was a Cowboys fan for 30 years, and then, yes, I'm over 30. Thank you for not thinking I'm over 30, I appreciate it. And then last year, in the off season, I was like, I'm done with this bullshit. It's not just the mediocrity; it's the management doesn't seem like they give a shit about getting better. Nothing's happening. People go, well, Jason Garrett. No, not Jason Garrett. He's the one that I give very little flack to because his job is not calling plays. It never was. So every time people are like, well, this play call sucks, it's Jason Garrett. The most you can do is he didn't do his job as a supervisor and firing an offensive coordinator, which it took him longer than it should have, but they finally did that, so whatever. I'm just tired of the Cowboys thing, and I'm tired of Cowboys fans. Like, every time somebody was like, oh, Cowboys fans are this, I want to be like, no, it's really like 25% of them. But those 25% are super bad. And also in other franchises, you say it's like 10%. But Cowboys, you have to say, it's fucking 25%. They're fucking awful, whiny bitches. So I looked around for a while and kind of was talking to various people from various fan bases, went on Reddit and joined a couple of like the different team Reddits and talked to some people. Some would like to fuck out. Some were super welcoming, like the Browns, and I eventually was like, okay, fell in love with the idea of this underdog team and the fact that through all this shit, these fans have just been like there. They've been there and they've been fucking loving it. And of course, Hard Knocks happened to come out then as well. I watched that and all the goofy shit going on. I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm done. And it's been a wild ride since then. We'll see how that goes. Because it's a weird story for someone. Usually, if people like, I switch fan bases, it's a very short time where you just kind of hop around. It's not like I can literally, I cried when Herschel Walker was traded in 1989. That's a legit thing that happened. That's, I go way the fuck back. Granted, I was wrong in 1989 because 7-year-old, 8-year-old me was, oh, finally she gets to pee in a cup. 7-year-old, 8-year-old me was just liked Herschel because he was the only good thing about the team, and I didn't understand anything. So, yeah, that's how far back I went. I lived through the first shitty part, and then the great part, and then the extended shitty part, and then the Romo part that I pretended was shitty, and then all this other shit. It's all nuts. You can feel free to ask me, to find me on Discord or whatever, and ask me my opinion about various Cowboys things, and I'll answer you. I feel like I've got a pretty good view of it. I'm not like, hey, I'm just like, look, this is, we hit a point where we parted ways. And they don't know me, obviously, but we hit a point where, like, this is what you're doing, in my opinion, and that's not where I want to be, so I left. I'm not, like, shitting on the players now that I'm not there. I'm still kind of, like, in my heart, I'm, like, rooting for the players, like, come on, get it done, I want to see you guys go elsewhere and get huge contracts and win games.
Maybe I'm a tiny bit better.
Okay, yeah, that's anything else you need to know about me if you feel so inclined. Just ask. I will fucking tell you, as people can tell you. Which leads me to Discord because I'm always trying to bring this back to something that is actually league related. No, move Discord. I can't see my face. Oh, there we go. Okay. I have my stuff over here, and then Discord usually pops up there too, and I had to like move it, and I was hitting the wrong thing to move it because I really don't know technology. I don't. Like it's not a gimmick. It's not like an over exaggeration. Once I was asked for a screenshot, and I literally took a picture of my screen with my phone because I didn't realize what it meant. And by once, I mean this was like 7 months ago. I really don't know technology. I have a phone that's like 3 generations out, and people will see. Yeah, I beat the shit out of my phone, by the way. Not like on purpose. I just beat the crap out. I'm just tough on things. I go through shoes every year. Blah 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 blah. But it's too much tongue. Oh. Yes, I can attest that TLK uses too much tongue. There you go, buddy. What was I saying? Discord. Discord's huge. Both the NSFL Discord, the team Discord, your DSFL team Discord, the rookie Discord. Use all these things. Talk to people. Get to know people. Not just in terms of like learn how to get TP, but in terms of like a big part of why this game is so fun is that we have all these interactions with other people, and the more you build those, the better. And I'm definitely one of those people who's very, very active on Discord. I'm awake usually noonish Pacific to usually somewhere like 3 a.m. Pacific, and throughout my day I'll be on there. Just like I mentioned before, everybody's got Discord on their phone. I do that a lot, and so I'm one of those people who's always up for a conversation. Usually always up for a conversation, and ready to go. So use that because why is somebody saying where am I at? They're asking me about children on the rookie Discord right now. Time consumer. Time consumer is a smart dude, by the way. I'm here filming a new terrible podcast. It is probably worse than it is probably worse. You don't have to go back to watch those to know that, but my last video podcast I did, I literally like stopped. I didn't stop the recording. I was just like, I'm gonna go get a beer, and I left and got a beer and came back. Like, that's walking home is faster than the bus. Oh no. Yes, Discord. Get on Discord. Do things. Talk to people. Find out all this other shit. Like we're not the only sim league either. So if you're doing this and you're like, hey, I dig this shit, which is kind of what happened to me, you can find other leagues and other games and other things that people are doing. Because there's all kinds of football, basketball, hockey, baseball. There's all sorts of stuff. If you really love baseball and you get into sim sports, check out PBE. Talk to half the league is in PBE. You know, it's run by Magiasu, otherwise known as, I'm so gonna fuck this up, Vladimir Fjordovich. I feel like I did pretty good there. I'm gonna ask him, and he's gonna be like, "No, you did not do good." I can't do a Polish accent. I'm sorry, Mash. Yeah, it's this huge hobby that like I didn't know existed, and then when I joined, I found out there's this whole world, and I've been having a blast for a year and a half doing this shit. So I love sports and I love RPGs essentially, because that was a really good way someone described it. It's essentially sports RPG. And I love that shit. It drives me nuts. That's not what it is. It does drive me nuts at times. Some of the sim engines that are used, which we have the better sim engines, are just they don't always have logic. My favorite that I always mentioned was that in an NSFL game, a running back with lunch rhymes with lunch. This opens up so many possibilities. A running back was once penalized for tripping while running the ball, which if you're familiar with penalties and the way they work, That's not fucking possible. You cannot trip somebody while you're running the ball. That's literally not a thing that can happen. You are in fact allowed to knock them down. So there are certain like logical things that don't always follow through on the sim because it's hard to program things that way. I just farted. I don't know if everybody heard that, but I'm gonna let you know. We'll be real honest about it. Ooh, not a good one. Not a good one. The podcast is definitely going to be ending very soon now. I need to vacate this area. But sign up for stuff, get into stuff, ask questions. Don't be afraid to just leap in and figure it out later. Have fun. Find someone who's experienced for a mock draft. As Davey put it really, really well, find a recreate that's smart and isn't in a war room because they usually have a pretty good idea what's going on. And you'll know they're not in a war room because they're actually putting up a mock draft. Individual teams have war rooms, people who aren't part of the GM structure but help make decisions. And so they are allowed to know information ahead of time, but they do not do mock drafts. They just get the average of what everybody else does for mock drafts, which is what GMs and HO members do. And if you ever wanted to know part of the reason why GMs and HOs are always like, do better mock drafts, it's because the average of everything you guys do is what we get. So every time you go down a first page, which has happened in seasons, and you're like every single person here is terrible. It's like, okay, we're getting 2 TP this year. Great, it's gonna suck. And that is one of the reasons that people have screwed up and have done things they shouldn't do and cheated and cheated and told people ahead of time. Or somebody wrote an article last off season or the season before where it was basically like, they didn't tell you who each team was drafting, but they definitely narrowed each pick down to a couple of people so you could make a lot of educated guesses. Don't do that. I'm not going to do that. Davey's not going to do that. Nunk isn't going to do that. But you can also find a lot of chatter from people who've been around if you ask. If you go into the NSFL Discord and like, who do you feel strongly about in your mock draft to help a rookie out? You'll get boom, boom, boom responses. It happens. Like, it's a very active group. Rookies probably not as much because it's mostly rookies and people who can't tell you. I'm considering doing 5 wolves, Numbers says, about the werewolf game. Kinky, I respond, because that's how I roll. That's a lot of fur. Oh my god. Why did I put my thought in that brain? See, this is what I mean. My brain does that. I'm gonna fucking stop this rambling bullshit and go do other stuff now. So I hope some part of this was fucking helpful, or mildly entertaining, or preferably both. And I will chat with you guys later. And I'm gonna leave you with this thought, which is that sometimes people say that there are moments where finger guns aren't appropriate, but you're wrong.